Lily Anderson works in her state-of-the-art recording studio, surrounded by the success she never thought possible. But her sister's cruel words still echo in her mind. "You'll never be anything, Lily." Rachel's voice cuts through time like a knife, the words that were meant to destroy her sister's dreams forever. But look at her now. The girl who was told she'd never amount to anything has built an empire from the ashes of those cruel words. Rachel never missed a chance to tear Lily down, always finding new ways to make her sister feel small, worthless, and completely insignificant. Yet here she stands, holding industry awards, tears streaming down her face as applause thunders around her. The transformation is absolutely incredible to witness. Every time Lily tried to share her dreams, Rachel was there to crush them. "You'll never be anything" became her sister's favorite weapon of destruction. But every award on these walls proves Rachel wrong. Every achievement stands as testimony to dreams that refuse to die despite years of cruelty. Rachel's humiliation knew no bounds. In front of family, friends, anyone who would listen, she made sure everyone knew how pathetic she thought Lily was. But the awards keep coming. Each one represents another dream achieved, another impossibility made real, another victory over the voices that said she'd never succeed. "You'll never be anything." The words that were meant to end everything instead became the fuel that would power an incredible transformation beyond imagination. The girl who was told she'd never be anything became everything. But there's a secret that will change both sisters' lives when it's finally revealed. Rachel's final act of cruelty would be the catalyst for something she never saw coming. Her words of destruction became Lily's foundation for creation. Award after award, achievement after achievement. The girl who was supposed to be nothing became the voice of a generation, touching millions of hearts. "You'll never be anything." The cruel prophecy that was meant to destroy instead became the driving force behind one of the greatest success stories ever told. But there's something Rachel doesn't know. Something that will turn her world upside down when the shocking truth finally comes to light. Every trophy represents a dream that survived Rachel's cruelty. Every award proves that sometimes the people who try to destroy us actually make us stronger. The secret that connects these two sisters is bigger than anyone could imagine. And when it comes out, everything will change forever. You'll never be anything. How wrong could one person be? And what happens when she discovers just how spectacularly wrong she was? This is the story of how cruel words became the foundation for incredible dreams. But the biggest shock is still coming for both sisters. The girl who would never be anything became everything. But when the truth comes out, both sisters will discover that some revelations change everything forever. Where are you watching from? Comment below and hit that like button. This story is just beginning, and trust me, the revelation that's coming will absolutely blow your mind. Subscribe now. 12-year-old Lily bursts through the front door, her eyes sparkling with pure excitement as she clutches a piece of paper covered in carefully drawn musical notes. She's been working on this song for weeks in secret, pouring her innocent heart into every melody and every word during quiet moments after school. Today feels like the perfect day to finally share her precious creation with the people she loves most in the world. Her family is gathered comfortably in the living room, and she can barely contain her overwhelming enthusiasm as she approaches them with her handwritten composition, believing this moment will be magical. Mom Caroline sits comfortably on the couch, leisurely flipping through the latest issue of Better Homes and Gardens magazine, occasionally pausing to admire kitchen renovation ideas. Meanwhile, 15-year-old Rachel lounges elegantly in the matching armchair, completely absorbed in filing her perfectly manicured coral pink nails to precise perfection. The warm afternoon sun streams gently through their lace curtains, creating a peaceful, cozy atmosphere that fills the room with golden light. This tranquil family scene makes young Lily believe with all her heart that this precious moment will be wonderful and memorable for everyone involved. "Mom, Rachel, I wrote something really special," Lily announces with a trembling voice full of hope and nervous excitement. Stepping into the center of the room, while holding her handwritten sheet music like a precious treasure. Her small hands shake slightly as she unfolds the carefully preserved paper, revealing weeks of dedicated work filled with musical notes, chord progressions, and heartfelt lyrics written in her neat cursive handwriting. The song tells a beautiful story about family bonds, sisterly love, and dreams for their future together. She's practiced the melody countless times in her bedroom mirror, imagining this exact moment when she would finally perform it for her beloved family. Rachel immediately looks up from her nail file with an expression of obvious annoyance and irritation crossing her perfectly made-up teenage face, as if Lily's innocent interruption has completely ruined her peaceful afternoon routine. Caroline barely glances over the top of her magazine, offering only a distracted, half-hearted acknowledgement, while clearly more interested in an article about autumn decorating trends than her younger daughter's creative achievement. The warm, welcoming atmosphere that Lily had hoped for suddenly feels cold and unwelcoming, like storm clouds gathering before a devastating hurricane that will destroy everything in its path. Lily begins to sing her original composition in a sweet, trembling voice, her pure notes filling the room with innocent beauty and raw, emotional honesty that comes straight from her 12-year-old heart. The melody flows gracefully through verses about family love, sisterly bonds, and shared dreams for their future together, each word carefully chosen to express her deepest feelings of affection and hope. Her small voice wavers slightly with nervousness, but the genuine emotion behind every lyric is undeniably powerful and moving, showcasing a natural musical talent that seems far beyond her young years. She closes her eyes during the chorus, completely lost in the music she's created, believing her family will finally see her gift. But instead of the appreciation and encouragement that Lily desperately hopes for, Rachel's reaction is immediately cruel and devastating to witness. She rolls her eyes dramatically and makes an exaggerated expression of disgust, as if listening to her sister's heartfelt song is the most torturous experience she's ever endured in her entire teenage life. "Oh my God, Lily, seriously?" Rachel interrupts with a voice dripping with venom and contempt, her words cutting through the innocent melody like a sharp knife through delicate silk. The beautiful atmosphere that Lily had tried to create with her music instantly shatters into painful pieces, replaced by overwhelming rejection and humiliation. Rachel suddenly stands up from her chair with aggressive, threatening body language, towering over her younger sister like a predator preparing to strike its helpless prey. "That's the most pathetic thing I've ever heard in my entire life," she declares with absolute cruelty, her voice rising to fill the room with toxic negativity and deliberate emotional violence. Lily instinctively steps backward, still clutching her precious sheet music protectively against her chest, her green eyes beginning to fill with unshed tears of shock and devastating hurt. The beautiful song that represented weeks of love and creativity has been transformed in seconds into a source of shame and humiliation that cuts deeper than any physical wound. "Give me that stupid piece of garbage," Rachel demands with increasing aggression, reaching out with predatory intent to snatch the handwritten sheet music from Lily's trembling hands. Lily desperately tries to protect her precious creation, holding it closer to her body while backing away from her sister's advancing form. But Rachel is bigger, stronger, and absolutely determined to complete her mission of total destruction. The sheet music that represents weeks of innocent creativity and hope is about to become the casualty in Rachel's war against her sister's dreams. Caroline continues reading her magazine with apparent indifference, as if the emotional violence unfolding right in front of her doesn't require any parental intervention. Rachel successfully grabs the sheet music and immediately begins tearing it into pieces with violent, deliberate motions, ripping through weeks of Lily's careful work with savage satisfaction and cruel pleasure. The delicate paper tears easily in her hands, sending musical notes and handwritten lyrics floating to the floor like broken dreams scattered across their living room carpet. Each rip of the paper sounds like thunder in Lily's ears, the destruction happening in slow motion before her horrified, disbelieving eyes. There. Now nobody has to listen to your pathetic attempts at being special, Rachel declares with triumphant cruelty, throwing the final torn pieces at Lily's feet, like confetti celebrating the complete destruction of her sister's innocent artistic spirit. Lily's tears finally overflow as she runs toward the staircase, her small feet pounding against the hardwood floor while sobs rack her tiny body. Caroline finally looks up from her magazine with an expression of mild annoyance rather than protective maternal instinct, addressing the situation as if it's merely an inconvenience. Rachel, that wasn't necessary. Lily, clean up this mess before dinner, she says dismissively, her words cutting almost as deeply as Rachel's physical destruction of the music. The complete lack of support or protection from her own mother adds another devastating layer of betrayal to this life-changing moment. Lily realizes with crushing clarity that she is completely alone in a family that sees her dreams as nothing more than annoying distractions from their own comfort. 16-year-old Lily takes a deep breath as she walks down the crowded high school hallway, her heart pounding with nervous anticipation. Tonight is the spring dance, one of the biggest social events of the year, and she spent weeks gathering the courage for this moment. She spots Rachel at her locker, surrounded by the usual group of popular friends who always make Lily feel invisible. Despite years of painful rejection, a small part of Lily still hopes that maybe, just maybe, her sister will show her some kindness today. She clutches her books tighter against her chest, rehearsing the words she's practiced in the mirror, praying that this time will be different between them. Rachel stands at her perfectly decorated locker, her blonde hair cascading in perfect waves as she laughs with her circle of equally popular friends. She's wearing the latest fashion trends, her makeup flawlessly applied, radiating the confidence that comes with being at the top of the high school social hierarchy. Her friends hang on her every word, treating her like the queen bee she's become in their teenage social ecosystem. The group discusses their elaborate plans for tonight's dance, who's wearing what designer dress, which boys they hope to dance with, and where the coolest after-parties will be held. Rachel basks in the attention, completely unaware that her younger sister is approaching with hope and vulnerability written across her anxious face. Lily hovers nervously at the edge of Rachel's social circle, waiting for the right moment to speak to her sister without interrupting the animated conversation about dance plans. Her palms are sweaty as she shifts her weight from foot to foot, feeling completely out of place among these confident, popular teenagers who seem to exist in a different world entirely. She can hear them discussing the expensive dresses they've bought, the professional hair appointments they've scheduled, and the elaborate group photos they've planned for social media. Every detail of their conversation reminds Lily of how different she is from them, how she doesn't fit into their glamorous teenage world of popularity and social status. Rachel, Lily finally speaks up with a small, tentative voice that barely cuts through the noise of the bustling hallway and her sister's loud conversation. Rachel turns around with a look of surprise and immediate annoyance, as if she can't believe her unpopular sister would dare to approach her prestigious social group during such an important discussion. The popular friends all turn to stare at Lily with curious, judgmental expressions, making her feel like a specimen under a microscope. Rachel's perfectly glossed lips form a thin line of displeasure, and Lily can already sense the rejection coming. But she forces herself to continue with her carefully rehearsed request, hoping against hope that her sister might surprise her with kindness. "I was wondering if, maybe, we could go to the dance together tonight," Lily asks with a voice full of hope and vulnerability, her words tumbling out quickly before she loses her nerve completely. "I know you probably have plans with your friends, but I thought maybe we could at least share a dance or take a photo together, like sisters do." Her green eyes shine with desperate hope as she imagines for just a moment what it would feel like to have her sister's support and inclusion for once in her life. She pictures them getting ready together, sharing makeup tips, and creating the kind of sisterly memories she's always dreamed about but never experienced. The request hangs in the air between them, filled with years of longing for acceptance and familial connection. Rachel's expression immediately transforms from annoyance to complete shock and disgust, as if Lily has just suggested something absolutely revolting and socially suicidal. Her blue eyes widen with horror at the mere thought of being publicly associated with her unpopular sister at the most important social event of the school year. Are you seriously asking me that right now? Rachel responds with a voice dripping with disbelief and mounting anger, her words carrying the sharp edge of someone who feels their social reputation is under attack. Her popular friends exchange knowing glances and barely contain smirks, already sensing the dramatic rejection that's about to unfold before their entertained eyes. The hallway seems to grow quieter around them as other students begin to notice the tension building between the Anderson sisters. "You're too pathetic to be seen with me," Rachel declares loudly enough for everyone in the surrounding area to hear clearly, her voice carrying across the hallway like a public announcement of Lily's social worthlessness. The cruel words hit Lily like a physical blow, causing her to visibly shrink back as if she's been struck across the face. Students in the hallway begin to stop and stare, sensing the drama unfolding and eager to witness the popular girl publicly destroying her own sister's dignity. Rachel's friends giggle and whisper among themselves, clearly enjoying the entertainment value of watching Lily's humiliation play out in front of the entire school. The fluorescent lights seem to grow harsher, highlighting every tear that begins to form in Lily's devastated green eyes. "Do you honestly think I would ruin my reputation by showing up to the dance with someone like you?" Rachel continues with increasing cruelty, her voice growing louder and more vicious as she feeds off the attention from the growing crowd of onlookers. "You're weird, you're antisocial, and you have absolutely no sense of style or social awareness whatsoever." Each word is carefully chosen to inflict maximum emotional damage, delivered with the precision of someone who knows exactly where to strike to cause the most pain. More students begin to gather around them, forming a loose circle of spectators who whisper and point at the unfolding drama. Rachel seems to relish the audience, using their presence to amplify her cruelty and ensure that Lily's humiliation will be remembered and discussed for weeks to come. Tears begin streaming down Lily's face as she stands frozen in the middle of the hallway, unable to move or speak while her sister's cruel words destroy what little confidence she had managed to build up over the past few weeks. "Everyone would laugh at me if I showed up with my pathetic little sister who can't even make a single friend." Rachel delivers her final, devastating blow with the satisfaction of someone who has successfully completed a mission of total destruction. The words echo through the hallway, ensuring that every witness will remember this moment of sisterly betrayal and public humiliation. Lily's tears fall freely now, her dreams of sisterly bonding shattered into a million irreparable pieces in front of half the school, creating a memory that will haunt her for years to come. Unable to bear another second of the public humiliation and her sister's calculated cruelty, Lily turns and runs through the crowded hallway, pushing past the circle of gawking students who have witnessed her complete social destruction. Her sobs echo behind her as she flees toward the nearest bathroom, desperate to find somewhere private to hide her tears and process the devastating blow to her already fragile self-esteem. The students in the hallway continue to whisper and stare, some with expressions of sympathy, but most with the morbid fascination that teenagers show when witnessing someone else's social downfall. Rachel watches her sister's retreat with a mixture of satisfaction and cold indifference, already turning back to her friends as if nothing significant has just happened, ready to continue planning for a dance that will forever be tainted by this moment of sisterly betrayal. 18-year-old Lily enters the family living room with trembling hands, clutching an official envelope that arrived in the mail just hours ago. Her heart races with excitement and disbelief as she reads the acceptance letter from Berklee College of Music for the 10th time, still unable to fully believe that her dreams are actually coming true. After years of secret practice, online music theory courses, and countless nights writing songs in her bedroom, she's finally been accepted to one of the most prestigious music schools in the country. The letter represents everything she's worked toward in silence, every hope she's carried despite her family's dismissal of her musical aspirations. She takes a deep breath, gathering courage to share this life-changing news with her family, desperately hoping they'll finally see her potential and celebrate this incredible achievement with her. Caroline sits in her usual spot on the couch, reading the Sunday paper with her reading glasses perched on her nose, occasionally commenting on local news stories to no one in particular. Rachel lounges nearby in the armchair, completely absorbed in scrolling through her social media feeds on her phone, occasionally laughing at memes or typing responses to her friends' posts. The afternoon sunlight streams through the windows, creating a peaceful domestic scene that gives Lily hope that this moment might be different from all the previous rejections and dismissal she's experienced. Both women seem relaxed and content, which makes Lily believe that maybe, just maybe, they'll be receptive to hearing about her acceptance to music college and the bright future that awaits her in Nashville. "Mom, Rachel, I have some incredible news to share with you both," Lily announces with a voice that barely contains her excitement and nervous energy, stepping into the center of the room while holding the acceptance letter like a precious treasure. Her hands shake slightly as she unfolds the official document, revealing the Berklee College of Music letterhead and the word congratulations that has been burned into her memory since she first read it. "I've been accepted to Berklee College of Music in Boston. They're offering me a partial scholarship for songwriting and composition." The words tumble out of her mouth in a rush of pure joy and pride, her green eyes shining with the hope that her family will finally understand that her musical dreams are real, valid, and worth pursuing with everything she has. Caroline slowly looks up from her newspaper with an expression of confusion and mild concern, as if Lily has just announced something completely nonsensical and impractical rather than sharing life-changing good news. Rachel glances up from her phone with immediate annoyance, clearly irritated that her social media browsing has been interrupted by what she perceives as another one of Lily's unrealistic fantasies. "Music college?" Caroline repeats with a tone that suggests she's never heard of such a thing existing in the real world. The warm atmosphere that Lily had hoped for quickly begins to shift toward the familiar territory of dismissal and disapproval that has characterized every previous attempt she's made to share her artistic aspirations with her family members who simply don't understand or support her dreams. Rachel dramatically puts down her phone and stares at Lily with an expression of complete disbelief and mounting irritation, as if her sister has just suggested the most ridiculous and impractical plan imaginable. "Are you seriously talking about music again?" she asked with a voice dripping with condescension and barely contained anger at having to deal with what she considers Lily's persistent delusions. "We've been through this 1,000 times, Lily. Music isn't a real career. It's a hobby at best, and a waste of time and money at worst." Her blue eyes narrow with the familiar look of superiority that always makes Lily feel small and foolish for daring to dream beyond the narrow boundaries that Rachel has set for what constitutes acceptable life choices. The excitement in Lily's eyes begins to dim as she recognizes the signs of another impending emotional attack. "Lily, honey, you need to be realistic about your future," Caroline says with the patronizing tone of someone who believes she's offering practical wisdom rather than crushing her daughter's dreams. "Music college is expensive, and what kind of job are you going to get with a music degree? You need to think about a stable career that will actually pay the bills and provide security for your future." She shakes her head disapprovingly, as if Lily's acceptance to a prestigious institution is nothing more than a foolish distraction from more practical concerns. The dismissive tone in her mother's voice hits Lily like a cold wave of reality, reminding her once again that her family sees her artistic gifts as nothing more than impractical fantasies that need to be abandoned in favor of more conventional life choices. Rachel suddenly stands up from her chair with aggressive body language, her frustration boiling over into open hostility as she prepares to deliver what she clearly believes will be the final word on this ridiculous discussion. "This is exactly what I'm talking about, Lily. You're such a dreamer," she declares with increasing volume and venom, her voice filling the room with toxic negativity. "You live in this fantasy world where you think you're some kind of special artist, But the reality is that you're just setting yourself up for massive disappointment and failure. Her words are sharp and deliberate, designed to cut through any remaining hope or confidence that Lily might have about her future. The living room, which moments ago felt warm and hopeful, now feels like a battlefield where Lily's dreams are under direct assault from the people who should be supporting her most. You'll be back home in 6 months, cry about how hard the real world is and begging us to bail you out of your student loans. Rachel continues with cruel precision, her words designed to plant seeds of doubt and fear in Lily's mind about her ability to succeed in pursuing her passion. Music school is just a way for them to take your money while filling your head with unrealistic expectations about a career that doesn't exist for people like you. She gestures dramatically as she speaks, her blonde hair whipping around her face as she builds momentum in her attack on Lily's dreams and aspirations. Lily clutches the acceptance letter protectively against her chest, feeling each word like a physical blow to her confidence and self-worth. Watching as her family systematically destroys what should have been one of the happiest moments of her young life. You're a pathetic dreamer who will never succeed at anything meaningful in life. Rachel delivers her final, devastating blow with the satisfied expression of someone who believes she's telling hard truths rather than destroying her sister's spirit. The sooner you accept that and choose a real career path, the better off you'll be. Caroline nods in agreement with her older daughter's harsh assessment, adding her own voice to the chorus of disapproval and dismissal that has become the soundtrack of Lily's attempts to share her dreams with her family. The acceptance letter that had felt so precious and important just minutes ago now feels heavy and meaningless in Lily's hands, tainted by the cruel words and complete lack of support from the people who should be celebrating her achievements and encouraging her to pursue her passions with courage and determination. Something fundamental shifts inside Lily as she stands in that living room, surrounded by the echoes of her family's cruelty and complete lack of faith in her abilities and dreams. The pain and disappointment that have defined her relationship with Rachel and Caroline for years suddenly crystallize into a moment of absolute clarity and determination. She looks down at the acceptance letter in her hands, then back up at her family with a new expression of quiet strength and resolve that neither of them has ever seen before. "You know what?" she says with a voice that's surprisingly steady and calm, despite the tears threatening to spill from her eyes. "I'm going to accept this scholarship, and I'm going to prove you both wrong." The decision forms in her heart with the finality of a door closing forever, marking the moment when Lily Anderson decides to leave behind everything familiar and pursue her dreams, regardless of the cost or consequences. 6 months later, Lily stands in front of a modest apartment building in Nashville, Tennessee, surrounded by her few possessions and carrying nothing but hope for a fresh start in Music City. The warm southern sun shines down on her as she takes her first deep breath of freedom, finally away from the toxic environment that had suffocated her dreams for so long. She transferred from Berkeley to Belmont University to be in the heart of the country music industry, using her savings and student loans to make this bold leap into independence. The bustling sounds of Nashville fill the air around her, distant music from honky-tonk bars, the hum of traffic, and the energy of a city where dreams are both made and broken every single day. Despite her nervousness about starting over completely alone, Lily feels a sense of liberation she's never experienced before in her young life. Lily's new studio apartment is tiny and sparsely furnished, but feels like a palace compared to the emotional prison she left behind in her family home. She carefully unpacks her few belongings, her acoustic guitar, a small keyboard, notebooks filled with song lyrics, and the clothes she could fit in 2 suitcases. The afternoon sunlight streams through the single window, illuminating dust particles that dance in the air like tiny symbols of hope and possibility. For the first time in her life, she can play music without fear of judgment or cruel laughter, sing without someone telling her to stop embarrassing herself. The silence in the apartment isn't oppressive like it was at home. It's peaceful, filled with potential rather than pain. She sets up her guitar in the corner and strums a few gentle chords, smiling as the sound fills her own space without anyone there to criticize or destroy her joy. Lily's first day at Belmont University fills her with both excitement and overwhelming anxiety as she navigates the campus filled with other aspiring musicians and industry professionals. Every student seems to radiate confidence and talent, carrying instrument cases and discussing recording sessions, internships, and networking opportunities with casual expertise that makes Lily feel like an imposter. She clutches her class schedule tightly, trying to find her first songwriting workshop while battling the familiar social anxiety that Rachel's years of cruelty have embedded deep in her psyche. The campus buzzes with creative energy that both inspires and intimidates her. This is exactly where she's always dreamed of being, but the voices of self-doubt planted by her family still whisper that she doesn't belong here among these confident, talented individuals who seem to know exactly where they're going in life. 3 weeks into the semester, Lily finds herself sitting in the University Counseling Center across from Maya Rodriguez, a warm and understanding therapist who specializes in helping students overcome family trauma and social anxiety. Maya's office is decorated with soft colors and inspiring quotes about healing and growth, creating a safe space where Lily finally feels comfortable enough to share the painful details of her family relationships. "Tell me about your family, Lily," Maya says with genuine compassion in her voice. And for the first time in her life, Lily finds herself speaking openly about Rachel's systematic cruelty and Caroline's enabling neglect. The words pour out of her like water through a broken dam. Years of suppressed pain, humiliation, and self-doubt finally finding voice in this safe, judgment-free environment where healing can begin to take root. "She told me I'd never be anything," Lily says through tears that have been held back for years, finally allowing herself to acknowledge the full extent of the emotional damage that Rachel's words have caused to her sense of self-worth and confidence. "Every time I tried to share my music, every time I had a dream or a goal, she would tear it down and make me feel stupid for even trying." Maya listens with professional compassion, taking notes while providing the emotional support and validation that Lily has never received from her own family members. The therapy sessions become a lifeline for Lily, helping her understand that the cruel treatment she endured wasn't her fault and that her dreams are valid and worthy of pursuit. Through Maya's guidance, Lily begins to separate her own authentic voice from the toxic voices of criticism and doubt that have been programmed into her mind by years of systematic emotional abuse. With Maya's encouragement, Lily begins visiting a small coffee shop called the Songbird near campus, where local musicians gather to share their work in an informal, supportive environment. The coffee shop has mismatched furniture, local artwork on the walls, and a small stage area where anyone brave enough can perform original songs for the intimate crowd of fellow artists and music lovers. For weeks, Lily just sits in the back corner with her guitar case, listening to other performers while building up the courage to share her own music with strangers who might actually appreciate her artistic gifts. The atmosphere is completely different from her family home. Here, music is celebrated and encouraged, and vulnerability is seen as strength rather than weakness. Maya's therapy sessions have helped her understand that her fear of performing comes from years of conditioning, not from any lack of talent or worth. One evening, after weeks of silent observation and Maya's gentle encouragement, Lily finally works up the courage to sign up for the open mic night at the Songbird. Her hands shake as she approaches the small stage area, carrying her acoustic guitar and the song she's been working on about finding her voice after years of being silenced. The audience is small and intimate, maybe 20 people scattered at tables, all fellow musicians and music lovers who understand the vulnerability required to share original work. "Hi, I'm Lily," she says into the microphone with a voice that trembles but grows stronger with each word. "This is an original song called Finding My Way Home." As she begins to play the opening chords, something magical happens. The anxiety begins to melt away, replaced by the pure joy of finally sharing her authentic voice with people who are there to listen and appreciate rather than judge and destroy. Lily's voice grows stronger and more confident as she performs her original song. the lyrics flowing from her heart about breaking free from toxic relationships and finding the courage to pursue dreams despite the voices that say you're not worthy. The small audience listens with genuine attention and appreciation, some nodding along with the melody, others clearly moved by the raw emotion in her lyrics and delivery. For the first time in her life, Lily experiences what it feels like to have her music received with respect, encouragement, and genuine appreciation rather than mockery and destruction. The song builds to a powerful chorus about refusing to let other people's limitations define your potential. And when she hits the final note, the coffee shop erupts in enthusiastic applause and encouraging cheers. Maya, who came to support her first performance, beams with pride from a corner table, knowing that this moment represents a major breakthrough in Lily's healing journey. After her performance, Lily is overwhelmed by the positive response from the coffee shop audience, who approach her with genuine compliments and encouragement about her songwriting abilities and powerful vocal delivery. "That was beautiful," says an older gentleman who's been coming to open mic nights for years. "You have a real gift for storytelling through music." A young woman about Lily's age asks if she plans to perform again next week, saying that the song moved her to tears because it reminded her of her own journey of breaking free from negative family dynamics. For the first time in her life, Lily experiences what it feels like to be celebrated for her artistic gifts rather than ridiculed or dismissed, and the validation from these strangers who have no agenda other than appreciating good music begins to heal years of damage to her artistic confidence and self-worth. The next week in therapy, Lily shares the details of her successful coffee shop performance with Maya, her face glowing with a confidence and joy that wasn't there when she first started coming to counseling sessions months ago. "I felt like myself for the first time in years," Lily explains with excitement in her voice, describing how the audience's positive response helped her realize that her family's opinion of her musical abilities was not only wrong, but deliberately destructive. Maya celebrates this breakthrough with genuine enthusiasm, recognizing it as a crucial step in Lily's journey toward healing and self-acceptance. Through their continued work together, Maya helps Lily understand that surrounding herself with supportive people who appreciate her gifts is not just important for her artistic development, but essential for her overall mental health and personal growth. The therapy sessions have become the foundation for rebuilding Lily's shattered self-esteem and learning to trust her own artistic instincts rather than the toxic voices from her past. 6 months after her first performance of The Songbird, Lily has become a regular fixture at the coffee shop's open mic nights. Her confidence growing with each song she shares with a supportive community of local musicians and music lovers. Tonight feels different, though, as she notices a well-dressed man in his late 20s sitting alone at a corner table, listening to her performance with an intensity that sets him apart from the usual, casual audience. David Chun, a successful music producer who discovered the coffee shop by accident while meeting a client nearby, finds himself completely captivated by the raw emotion and authentic storytelling in Lily's original compositions. Her voice carries a quality that can't be manufactured or taught, a genuine vulnerability combined with technical skill that immediately catches his professional attention. As Lily finishes her latest song about overcoming family rejection, David knows he's witnessed something special that deserves a much larger platform than this intimate coffee shop setting. After Lily's performance concludes to enthusiastic applause, David approaches her with genuine excitement barely contained beneath his professional demeanor. "Excuse me, that was absolutely incredible," he says, extending a sleek business card that reads David Chun, music producer, Harmony Records. Lily's eyes widen with surprise and nervousness as she realizes this isn't just another supportive coffee shop patron offering casual compliments about her music. "I've been working in the music industry for 8 years, and I rarely hear songwriting with that level of emotional authenticity and commercial potential," David continues with sincere enthusiasm. "Would you be interested in discussing some opportunities? I think your songs could reach a much wider audience than you might imagine." The conversation that follows changes everything for Lily, as David explains his vision for helping talented songwriters like her break into the competitive Nashville music scene, while maintaining their artistic integrity and authentic voice that makes them special. 1 week later, David invites Lily to visit his state-of-the-art recording studio in the heart of Nashville's Music Row, where the walls are lined with gold and platinum record from artists he's helped launch to international success. Lily feels overwhelmed and slightly intimidated as David explains the sophisticated recording equipment, mixing boards, and technology that transforms raw musical ideas into polished, radio-ready productions that can compete in today's demanding music marketplace. The music industry has changed dramatically in recent years, David explains while showing her examples of successful songs he's produced. Streaming platforms and social media have created new opportunities for artists, but they've also made the competition more intense than ever before. What you have, that authentic emotional connection and natural storytelling ability, that's exactly what cuts through all the noise and reaches people's hearts. As they discuss potential collaboration opportunities, Lily begins to understand that her painful personal experiences, which her family dismissed as weaknesses, might actually be her greatest artistic strengths. David presents Lily with an opportunity that seems almost too good to be true: the chance to work as a professional songwriter, creating music for established artists while learning the business side of the industry under his mentorship and guidance. Many of the biggest hits you hear on the radio were written by songwriters working behind the scenes, he explains, showing her examples of chart-topping songs created by writers who prefer to stay out of the spotlight. It's a legitimate career path that allows you to focus purely on the craft of songwriting without the pressures of performing, touring, or maintaining a public image. The arrangement would provide Lily with steady income, professional development opportunities, and the chance to see her songs reach millions of listeners through established artists who have the platform and resources to promote them effectively. For someone who has always been more comfortable expressing herself through music than through public speaking or self-promotion, this behind-the-scenes role feels like the perfect fit for her personality and career goals. As Lily stands in David's studio, surrounded by evidence of his successful track record in launching careers and creating hit songs, she realizes this opportunity represents everything she's dreamed of since childhood: the chance to make a living through music while having her work appreciated by audiences around the world. The contract David offers includes co-writing opportunities with established songwriters, access to professional recording facilities, and connections to major artists looking for fresh material with emotional depth and authenticity. "I know this is a big decision," David says with understanding and patience, recognizing the magnitude of what he's offering to someone who just months ago was too afraid to perform in front of a coffee shop audience. "Take your time to think about it, but I want you to know that I believe your songs have the power to touch people's lives in ways that most writers can only dream of achieving." The opportunity feels surreal to Lily, who remembers Rachel's cruel words about her music being worthless and pathetic. Yet here stand a successful industry professional offering to help her turn those same songs into a legitimate career. That evening, Lily calls Maya to discuss this incredible opportunity with the one person she trusts completely to give her honest, supportive advice about such a major life decision. "It sounds amazing, but I'm scared," Lily admits during their phone conversation, her voice carrying both excitement and the familiar anxiety that surfaces whenever good things happen in her life. Maya helps her work through the fears and self-doubt that Rachel's years of emotional abuse have embedded in her psyche, reminding her of how far she's come since arriving in Nashville as a broken, insecure teenager. "This is exactly what you've been working toward," Maya encourages with the wisdom of someone who has watched Lily transform from a traumatized young woman into a confident artist. "Your music has always been powerful and meaningful. Now you have the chance to share it with the world through someone who recognizes your talent and wants to help you succeed." Their conversation helps Lily realize that accepting David's offer isn't just about pursuing a career. It's about finally believing in herself enough to embrace the opportunities that her authentic artistic voice has created. After 2 days of careful consideration and multiple conversations with Maya, Lily returns to David's studio with her decision made and her signature ready to commit to this life-changing partnership. "I want to do this," she tells David with a confidence in her voice that surprises even herself, a far cry from the timid girl who used to apologize for taking up space in her own family home. as she signs the contract that will transform her from an aspiring songwriter into a professional music industry participant. Lily feels a surge of pride and accomplishment that no family member has ever made her feel. David's handshake seals a partnership built on mutual respect for her artistic abilities and shared vision for creating music that connects with people's deepest emotions and experiences. "Welcome to the music business, Lily," David says with genuine excitement about their future collaborations. "I have a feeling we're going to create some incredible songs together." The moment marks not just the beginning of Lily's professional music career, but the final step in her transformation from victim to victor in her own life story. Within days of signing the contract, Lily finds herself immersed in the creative process of professional songwriting, working alongside David to refine her existing compositions and develop new material that showcases her unique voice and perspective. The studio becomes her second home as she learns the technical aspects of modern music production while maintaining the emotional authenticity that makes her songs special and memorable. David proves to be not just a business partner, but also a mentor who understands how to nurture her natural talents, while helping her develop the professional skills necessary to succeed in the competitive music industry. Your personal experiences with family trauma and overcoming adversity, that's what gives your songs their power, David explains as they work on arrangements for her latest composition. "We're not trying to change who you are as an artist. We're trying to help more people discover the healing and hope that your music can provide." The collaboration feels natural and inspiring, validating Lily's belief that she's finally found her true calling and the right partner to help her achieve her dreams. As weeks turn into months, Lily and David develop both a strong professional working relationship and a deep personal connection built on shared passion for creating meaningful music that touches people's lives. Their late-night studio sessions often extend well beyond business hours as they get lost in the creative process of crafting songs that perfectly balance commercial appeal with artistic integrity and emotional depth. "When I first heard you at that coffee shop, I knew you were talented," David tells her during one of these extended creative sessions. "But what I didn't expect was how much working with you would inspire me to be a better producer and a better person." The partnership has evolved into something deeper than either of them anticipated. A romantic relationship built on mutual respect, shared dreams, and the understanding that comes from two people who have found their perfect creative and personal match. Their collaboration produces not just successful songs, but also a love story that proves dreams really can come true when you find the courage to pursue them despite the voices that tell you they're impossible. 6 months after signing with David, Lily sits in the studio listening to the final mix of her first professionally produced song, tears of joy streaming down her face as she hears her words and melodies transformed into a polished recording that rivals anything playing on major radio stations. The song tells the story of a young woman who refuses to let family rejection define her worth, finding the strength to pursue her dreams despite the voices that tell her she'll never amount to anything meaningful or important. "This is going to change lives," David says with conviction as they listen to the playback, knowing that Lily's authentic story of overcoming emotional abuse and family trauma will resonate with countless listeners who have experienced similar struggles. The recording represents not just Lily's professional breakthrough, but also her personal triumph over the toxic voices that once convinced her she was worthless and pathetic. As the final notes fade in the studio speakers, Lily realizes she has accomplished something that seemed impossible just a year ago. She has transformed her pain into purpose, her trauma into triumph, and her dreams into reality through the power of music and the support of people who believe in her authentic artistic voice. Over the following 2 years, Lily's transformation from unknown songwriter to industry powerhouse unfolds like a beautiful dream she never dared to imagine possible during those dark days of family rejection and self-doubt. Song after song flows from her heart and mind, each composition carrying the authentic emotional depth that David recognized from that first coffee shop performance, now refined and polished through professional production techniques. The The studio walls gradually fill with gold and platinum records representing the massive commercial success of songs that bear her invisible signature, touching millions of hearts around the world while keeping her safely anonymous behind the scenes. Broken Wings Can Still Fly becomes the year's biggest ballad, performed by a major country star but written entirely by Lily during a late-night session inspired by her journey of overcoming family trauma and finding her authentic voice. Each success builds upon the last, creating a momentum of achievement that validates every dream Rachel tried to destroy and every hope Caroline dismissed as impractical and unrealistic. David proudly shows Lily the latest streaming statistics and chart positions for her songs. The numbers so astronomical that she still struggles to believe they represent her own creative work reaching audiences across the globe. Your song, Finding Home, has been streamed over 50 million times this month alone. David explains with excitement that matches her own amazement at the scale of her impact on popular culture. Major artists are specifically requesting to work with you because your songwriting captures emotions that other writers struggle to authentically express. The financial success has been equally remarkable, providing Lily with a level of security and independence she never thought possible growing up in a family that constantly reminded her of her supposed worthlessness and inability to contribute anything meaningful to the world. Beyond the money and accolades, however, the most rewarding aspect of her success has been the thousands of messages from fans who share how her songs help them through difficult times, relationship struggles, and family conflicts similar to what she experienced with Rachel and Caroline. Lily's success has allowed her to move from her tiny studio apartment to a beautiful home in one of Nashville's most prestigious neighborhoods, complete with a professional home studio where she can write and demo songs at any hour inspiration strikes. The walls display her growing collection of industry awards and recognition, each plaque and trophy representing not just commercial success, but personal vindication of the artistic gifts that Rachel ridiculed and Caroline dismissed as childish fantasies. Her home has become a sanctuary of creativity and peace, filled with natural light, comfortable furniture, and the kind of warm, welcoming atmosphere she always craved but never experienced in her family home. The guest room remains ready for Maya's frequent visits, as their friendship has deepened into a sisterly bond built on mutual respect, shared growth, and the understanding that comes from supporting each other through life's challenges and triumphs. Every morning, Lily wakes up grateful for the journey that brought her from that broken 12-year-old girl with torn sheet music to this confident young woman whose songs provide hope and healing to people around the world. The professional partnership between Lily and David has blossomed into a deep romantic relationship built on shared passion for music, mutual respect for each other's talents, and the rare understanding that comes when two people find their perfect creative and personal match. Their studio sessions often extend late into the night, not because of deadlines or commercial pressure, but because they lose themselves in the magical process of creating music that captures the full spectrum of human emotion and experience. "You've changed my life in ways I never expected," David tells her during one of these intimate creative moments, his hand covering hers on the piano keys as they work through a particularly beautiful melody. "Not just professionally, but personally, you've taught me what it means to create art that actually matters to people." Their relationship represents everything Lily never had with her family: unconditional support, celebration of her gifts, and the security of knowing someone believes in her potential even when she struggles to believe in herself. Together, they've created not just hit songs, but a partnership that proves love and professional success can coexist beautifully when built on authenticity and mutual respect. At various industry award ceremonies, Lily watches from backstage or the audience as performers accept awards for songs she wrote, experiencing a complex mixture of pride, satisfaction, and occasional wistfulness about remaining anonymous, while others receive public recognition for her creative work. And the award for Song of the Year goes to Stronger Than Yesterday, performed by Sarah Matthews. The applause fills the auditorium as Sarah delivers an emotional acceptance speech about how the song's message of resilience resonated with her personally, never knowing that the writer who crafted those healing lyrics went through even deeper struggles to find that strength. While Lily sometimes wonders what it would feel like to step into the spotlight and claim credit for her contributions to popular music, she remains grateful for the creative freedom and emotional safety that anonymity provides. Her choice to stay behind the scenes allows her to focus purely on the craft of songwriting without the pressures of public image, social media management, or the constant scrutiny that comes with celebrity status in today's entertainment industry. David takes Lily to celebrate yet another chart-topping success at an elegant Nashville restaurant, where they toast not just the commercial achievement, but the personal growth and healing that her music represents for both of them. To the woman who turned her pain into purpose and her dreams into reality, David says, raising his glass of champagne in a tribute that acknowledges not just her professional accomplishments, but the incredible personal journey that made them possible. The dinner conversation flows easily between discussions of their next creative projects and more personal topics about their shared future, their hopes for expanding their business partnership, and the family they hope to build together someday. For Lily, these quiet moments of celebration with someone who truly understands and appreciates her gifts feel more meaningful than any public recognition or industry accolade could provide. The intimate connection they share represents everything she searched for during those lonely years of family rejection: acceptance, encouragement, and the deep satisfaction of being loved for exactly who she is rather than who someone else thinks she should become. In the quiet hours of early morning, Lily sits in her home studio working on a new song that captures her overwhelming gratitude for the unexpected life she's built from the ashes of family rejection and personal trauma. The lyrics flow naturally as she reflects on the journey from that devastating day when Rachel destroyed her first composition to this moment of creative fulfillment and professional success beyond her wildest childhood dreams. Sometimes the worst things that happen to us become the best things that ever happened. She sings softly, testing the melody against the piano accompaniment that seems to write itself under her fingers. The song becomes both a personal anthem of triumph and a universal message of hope for anyone who has ever been told their dreams are impossible or their worth is negligible. Through her music, Lily has transformed her personal story of survival and resilience into a source of inspiration for millions of listeners who find strength in her authentic expression of overcoming adversity and choosing to believe in their own potential despite the voices that tell them they'll never amount to anything meaningful or important. As Lily and David listen to the final mix of her latest composition, a powerful ballad about finding your voice after years of being silenced, they both recognize that this song represents the culmination of her artistic and personal evolution. The production perfectly balances the raw emotional honesty that made her coffee shop performances so compelling with the polished professionalism that allows her work to compete in today's demanding music marketplace. This might be your best song yet, David says, with the objectivity of a seasoned producer combined with the pride of someone who has witnessed her growth every step of the way. The song tells the story of a young woman who refuses to let family cruelty define her worth, finding the courage to pursue her dreams despite systematic attempts to convince her she's worthless and destined for failure. As the final notes fade in the studio speakers, Lily realizes that she has accomplished something that seemed impossible during those dark days of childhood trauma. She has transformed her deepest pain into her greatest strength, proving that sometimes our worst experiences become the foundation for our most meaningful contributions to the world. The digital streaming statistics for Lily's songs reveal the true scope of her impact on global popular culture, with her compositions being played millions of times daily across every continent and in dozens of languages through cover versions and international adaptations. Your music is literally changing lives around the world, David explains, as they review analytics, showing how her songs consistently rank among the most streamed content on major platforms. Comments and messages from international fans reveal that her themes of overcoming family rejection, finding personal strength, and refusing to let others define your worth resonate across cultural boundaries and language barriers. The global reach of her work represents validation on a scale that 12-year-old Lily, sitting in pieces with her torn sheet music, could never have imagined possible. Her songs have become anthems for the rejected, the dismissed, and the underestimated, proving that authentic artistic expression can transcend geographic boundaries and cultural differences to touch the universal human experiences of pain, growth, and triumph over adversity. In a quiet moment of reflection, Lily sits in her beautiful Nashville home, surrounded by the tangible evidence of dreams achieved and promises kept to herself, feeling profound gratitude for the journey that brought her from family rejection to international success. The wall of gold and platinum records represents more than commercial achievement. Each award symbolizes a childhood dream that survived Rachel's cruelty, a song that proved Caroline wrong about her potential, and a moment when someone's life was touched by music born from authentic emotional experience. While she sometimes thinks about her family and wonders if they've heard her songs on the radio without knowing their true author, Lily feels no need for their validation or acknowledgement of her success. The validation she needed came from within herself and from the millions of people around the world who find strength, comfort, and hope in the music she creates from her heart. Her success story represents the ultimate triumph of authentic artistic expression over toxic family dynamics, proving that sometimes the greatest revenge against those who try to destroy your dreams is simply living those dreams fully and sharing their beauty with a world that appreciates their value. 3 years after Lily disappeared from their lives, 25-year-old Rachel sits alone in her cramped studio apartment, surrounded by the debris of her collapsed marriage and mounting financial pressures that have stripped away the confidence and superiority she once wielded so cruelly against her younger sister. The divorce papers are still scattered on her coffee table next to past due bills and job rejection letters, creating a stark contrast to the glamorous lifestyle she had always assumed would be hers by right of her popularity and social status. Her husband left 6 months ago, taking half their savings and leaving her with debts she never saw accumulating during their years of reckless spending and financial irresponsibility. The friends who once surrounded her during her high school reign have gradually drifted away, busy with their own families and careers, leaving Rachel to confront the harsh reality that her teenage popularity meant nothing in the adult world, where actual skills and character matter more than superficial charm and social manipulation. In the quiet desperation of another lonely evening, Rachel reaches for the radio, as she has countless times over the past months, desperately seeking some form of comfort or distraction from the overwhelming anxiety that has become her constant companion since her life fell apart so completely. Music has become her only reliable source of emotional relief, the one thing that can temporarily transport her away from the crushing weight of her failures and the growing realization that she has no real friends, no valuable skills, and no clear path forward from a mess she's made of her adult life. She settles back against the worn cushions of her secondhand couch, closing her eyes as the familiar opening notes of her favorite song begin to play, the melody that has carried her through her darkest moments of despair and self-doubt. The song speaks to something deep in her soul about finding strength after losing everything, about rebuilding yourself when the world strips away all the things you thought defined your worth and value as a person. This is Stronger Than Yesterday by Sarah Matthews, still #1 after 12 weeks on the charts. The radio DJ announces as Rachel's favorite song fills her small apartment with its message of resilience and hope for people who have lost everything they thought mattered. The lyrics speak directly to her current situation: losing a marriage, facing financial ruin, discovering that the people she thought were friends were only attracted to her former status and stability. When everything you built comes crashing down, when the mirror shows a stranger's face, that's when you learn what you're really made of. That's when you find your saving grace. Sarah Matthews sings with emotion that resonates perfectly with Rachel's current struggle to rebuild her identity after losing all the external validation she had relied upon for self-worth. The song has become her daily anthem, the one piece of music that consistently manages to lift her spirits and remind her that survival is possible even when everything familiar disappears and forces her to discover who she really is beneath the facade of popularity and privilege. As the song concludes with its powerful message about finding inner strength during life's most challenging periods, Rachel finds herself wondering for the first time about the person who wrote these lyrics that speak so perfectly to her personal experience of loss and rebuilding. "I wonder who wrote this," she murmurs to herself, reaching for her phone with a curiosity that has been building for weeks about the invisible songwriter behind the words that have become her lifeline through this difficult period. She's never really thought about songwriting credits before, always assuming that the performers wrote their own material. But something about the authentic emotion in these lyrics makes her want to know more about the creative mind that could capture such specific feelings of devastation and hope. Her fingers move across the phone screen as she searches for information about Stronger Than Yesterday, not knowing that this moment of innocent curiosity will lead to a discovery that will completely shatter her understanding of her own family history and personal identity. The search results load on Rachel's phone screen, revealing the songwriting credits that will change everything she thought she knew about her estranged sister and her own cruel treatment of Lily's musical dreams. Stronger Than Yesterday, written by L. Anderson, produced by David Chun, Harmony Records. She reads aloud with growing confusion and disbelief, her voice trembling as the significance of that familiar initial and surname begins to penetrate her consciousness. L. Anderson. Lily Anderson, she whispers with mounting horror as the impossible truth starts to crystallize in her mind. The realization that her pathetic sister might be connected to the song that has been her emotional salvation for months. Her hands shake as she searches for more information, desperately hoping this is just a coincidence, that there must be hundreds of people with those initials and that surname in the music industry. But deep in her heart, she already knows the truth that her rational mind refuses to accept. The sister she destroyed and drove away has somehow become the invisible force behind the music that saved her from complete despair. With growing desperation and disbelief, Rachel begins searching for other songs she loves, discovering that L. Anderson appears in the songwriting credits for virtually every piece of music that has provided comfort during her darkest months of personal and financial crisis. Broken Wings Can Still Fly, L. Anderson. Finding Home, L. Anderson. Rise from the Ashes, L. Anderson. Each discovery hits her like a physical blow as she realizes that the sister she called worthless and pathetic has been secretly writing the soundtrack to her emotional survival and recovery. The songs that got her through her divorce helped her process her financial struggles and gave her hope for rebuilding her life. All of them flow from the creative heart of the girl she systematically destroyed with years of calculated cruelty and emotional violence. The irony is so devastating and complete that Rachel feels physically ill, understanding with crushing clarity that while she was busy destroying Lily's confidence and dreams, her sister was quietly becoming one of the most successful songwriters of their generation, touching millions of lives with the authentic emotional truth that Rachel had ridiculed as pathetic and worthless. The full weight of her discovery crashes over Rachel like a tsunami of guilt, regret, and self-hatred as she realizes the magnitude of what she destroyed and the incredible person her sister became despite. Or perhaps because of the systematic emotional abuse she endured from her own family. The phone falls from her trembling hands as she collapses onto her couch, sobbing with the kind of deep, wrenching grief that comes from understanding you've committed an unforgivable act against someone who never deserved your cruelty. Every cruel word she spoke to Lily echoes in her memory with new and devastating significance. "You'll never be anything," she had screamed to the girl who would go on to write songs that touched millions of hearts worldwide. "Your music is pathetic," she had declared about the artistic gift that would generate millions of dollars and provide healing to countless people struggling with their own family trauma and personal challenges. The realization that she spent years destroying someone whose talent and worth far exceeded her own leaves Rachel feeling like the true failure in their family. the one who contributed nothing meaningful to the world while actively trying to prevent her sister from sharing her extraordinary gifts. Through tear-blurred vision, Rachel continues her research into Elle Anderson's career, discovering industry articles that praise the mysterious songwriter's emotional depth, commercial success, and significant impact on contemporary music culture and healing through artistic expression. Elle Anderson has revolutionized modern songwriting by bringing authentic vulnerability back to popular music, reads one music industry publication that Rachel finds during her desperate search for more information about her sister's incredible achievements. Another article discusses how Elle Anderson songs have been used in therapy sessions, support groups, and healing programs around the world, helping people overcome trauma, depression, and family dysfunction through the power of authentic musical storytelling. The more Rachel learns about her sister's success and positive impact on the world, the more she understands the true scope of her own failure as a human being, not just in her treatment of Lily, but in her complete inability to contribute anything meaningful or valuable to the lives of others throughout her entire selfish, destructive existence. Sitting alone in her cramped apartment, surrounded by the evidence of her failed life, Rachel confronts the devastating truth that the sister she drove away in cruelty has become everything she herself pretended to be: successful, influential, and genuinely valuable to the world in ways that matter beyond superficial popularity or social status. The songs that save her from complete despair were written by the very person she had systematically tried to convince was worthless, pathetic, and destined for failure throughout their childhood and teenage years. The irony cuts so deep that Rachel feels as if her soul is being shredded from the inside out, understanding that she doesn't deserve the healing and hope that Lily's music has provided during her darkest hours. She realizes with crushing clarity that she is exactly what she always accused Lily of being: a failure, a disappointment, someone who contributed nothing positive to the world while actively working to destroy the dreams and aspirations of someone infinitely more talented and worthy than herself. Through her tears and overwhelming guilt, Rachel makes a decision that feels both terrifying and absolutely necessary. She has to find Lily and somehow attempt to make amends for the years of cruelty that nearly destroyed her sister's belief in her own worth and potential. She grabs her jacket and car keys with trembling hands, knowing that she has no right to ask for forgiveness, but unable to live with herself without at least trying to acknowledge the magnitude of her cruelty and the incredible person Lily became despite her family's systematic emotional abuse. The drive to Nashville will give her hours to figure out what words could possibly express the depth of her remorse and the complete transformation of her understanding about which sister was truly the failure in their family dynamic. Rachel knows this journey might result in Lily refusing to see her, hanging up the phone, or telling her that forgiveness is impossible after years of deliberate emotional destruction. But she also knows that living with this knowledge without attempting to make amends would destroy what little humanity she has left in her broken, selfish soul. After driving through the night from her hometown, Rachel stands outside Harmony Records in Nashville, her heart pounding with a mixture of terror, desperation, and the crushing weight of years of guilt that have brought her to this moment of reckoning. The impressive building represents everything she once mocked and dismissed as unrealistic fantasy when Lily talked about pursuing music as a career. Yet here it stands as concrete proof of her sister's incredible success and her own devastating failure of judgment. Her hands shake as she clutches the printed articles about Elle Anderson's songwriting achievements, evidence of the research that revealed the shocking truth about her pathetic sister's transformation into one of the industry's most successful and respected creators. The morning sun feels harsh against her face as she struggles to find the courage to walk through those doors and confront the person she systematically destroyed throughout their childhood, knowing that she has no right to ask for anything but unable to live with herself without attempting some form of acknowledgement and apology. Inside the sleek, modern lobby of Harmony Records, Rachel feels completely out of place among the gold and platinum records that line the walls, many of which she now realizes bear her sister's invisible signature as their true creative source. The receptionist, a polished young woman who exudes the confidence that comes from working in a successful creative environment, looks up with professional courtesy that quickly shifts to confusion as Rachel struggles to explain her presence without revealing the full scope of her shameful family history. I need to speak with Elle Anderson, Rachel manages to say with a voice that betrays her nervousness and emotional fragmentation. I'm her sister, and it's extremely important that I see her today. The words feel foreign and inadequate as they leave her mouth, carrying none of the arrogance and superiority that once characterized her interactions with people she considered beneath her social status. The receptionist's expression grows more puzzled as she explains that Elle Anderson maintains strict privacy and doesn't typically take unscheduled meetings, especially from people claiming family connections to the famously anonymous songwriter. As Rachel pleads with the receptionist for any chance to contact her sister, David Chin emerges from one of the recording rooms, immediately recognizing the family resemblance between this desperate-looking woman and the Lily he loves despite the stark differences in their energy and presence. His protective instincts immediately activate as he assesses the situation, remembering the countless therapy sessions Lily endured to heal from the trauma this woman inflicted throughout their childhood and teenage years. You must be Rachel, David says with cold recognition, his voice carrying none of the warmth he reserved for people who have earned his respect through kindness and integrity rather than cruelty and emotional destruction. The tension in the hallway becomes palpable as Rachel realizes this man knows exactly who she is and what she did to Lily, his professional composure barely concealing the protective anger of someone who has spent years helping the woman he loves rebuild her shattered confidence and self-worth. Rachel feels the full weight of her reputation preceding her, understanding that her presence here represents a potential threat to the peace and healing that Lily has worked so hard to achieve. Please, I know I have no right to be here. Rachel begins with tears already streaming down her face, her voice breaking as she confronts David's protective stance and the reality of how completely she destroyed her relationship with a sister who now needs protection from her very presence. I found out about the songs, about who Elle Anderson really is, and I can't live with myself knowing what I did to her without at least trying to apologize for the years of cruelty and the dreams I tried to destroy. David studies her carefully, weighing his protective instincts against his understanding of Lily's complex feelings about her family and her long journey toward healing from the emotional abuse that shaped her entire adolescence. She doesn't need your apologies, Rachel, David responds with measured firmness, his professional training as a producer helping him maintain control despite his personal feelings about the woman who nearly destroyed the person he loves most in the world. She's built a beautiful life despite what you put her through, and I won't let you disrupt her peace just to make yourself feel better about your own guilt and regret. Rachel's composure completely collapses as she faces the protective wall that David represents, her sobs echoing through the professional hallway as years of suppressed guilt and self-hatred pour out in an uncontrolled flood of genuine emotion and devastating self-awareness. I know I don't deserve her forgiveness, she manages to say through her tears, her voice carrying a brokenness that David has never heard from the confident, cruel teenager that Lily described in their early conversations about family trauma. I know I destroyed something beautiful and precious, and I know I was the real failure in our family while she was becoming everything I pretended to be. The raw authenticity of Rachel's breakdown gives David pause, recognizing in her collapse the same kind of genuine emotional pain that Lily expressed during her early therapy sessions when she first began processing the years of systematic abuse. While his protective instincts remain strong, David begins to see Rachel not just as the villain from Lily's traumatic stories, but as a broken human being facing the devastating consequences of her own actions and choices throughout their shared childhood. The sound of Rachel's emotional breakdown penetrates the soundproofed recording room where Lily has been working, prompting her to investigate the unusual disturbance in what is normally a peaceful, professional environment dedicated to creativity and healing through music. As she opens the door and steps into the hallway, Lily freezes in complete shock at the sight of her older sister, collapsed against the wall in tears, looking nothing like the confident, cruel teenager who drove her away with systematic emotional destruction years earlier. The moment stretches between them like a bridge across an ocean of pain, betrayal, and lost time, both sisters staring at each other with the weight of their shared history hanging heavy in the air around them. Rachel looks up through her tears to see the sister she once called pathetic now radiating confidence, success, and the kind of inner strength that comes from surviving trauma and transforming it into purposeful creative expression that touches millions of lives around the world. Lily, Rachel whispers with a voice full of awe, regret, and desperate hope as she struggles to stand up straight and face the sister whose life she nearly destroyed with years of calculated cruelty and emotional violence. I found out about your songs, about who you really are, and I had to come here to tell you how sorry I am for everything I did to you throughout our childhood. Lily stands frozen in the doorway, her mind struggling to process this unexpected confrontation with the person who shaped her deepest insecurities and drove her away from everything familiar in pursuit of healing and artistic fulfillment. The successful, confident woman she has become wars with the frightened, broken child who still lives inside her heart, remembering every cruel word, every destroyed dream, every moment when Rachel made her feel worthless and pathetic for daring to believe in her own potential. David moves closer to Lily's side, offering silent support while allowing her to process this moment according to her own emotional needs and healing journey rather than his protective instincts. Seeing Rachel triggers a flood of traumatic memories that wash over Lily like an emotional tsunami, each cruel moment flashing through her consciousness with devastating clarity and renewed emotional impact despite years of therapy and healing work with Maya. She remembers 12-year-old hands tearing apart her first song, the laughter that followed her musical dreams, the public humiliation at school, and the final devastating blow when she tried to share her college acceptance with a family that saw her aspirations as nothing more than pathetic fantasies deserving of ridicule and destruction. "You'll never be anything," Rachel's voice echoes through time, followed by, "You're too pathetic to be seen with me," and "You're a dreamer who will never succeed at anything meaningful." Each memory carries the same emotional weight it held years ago, threatening to drag Lily back into the darkness of self-doubt and worthlessness that she has worked so hard to overcome through therapy, supportive relationships, and the validation that comes from knowing her music has touched millions of hearts around the world. After several minutes of tense silence filled with the weight of their shared traumatic history, Lily finally finds her voice, speaking with the hard-earned strength and confidence that years of healing, success, and supportive relationships have built within her damaged but resilient spirit. "You told me I'd never be anything, Rachel," she says with a calm that surprises even herself, her voice carrying none of the trembling fear that once characterized her interactions with her cruel older sister. "You spent years convincing me I was worthless, pathetic, and destined for failure. You destroyed my confidence, my self-worth, and my ability to trust my own dreams and aspirations." Rachel flinches with each word as if they are physical blows, understanding that every accusation Lily makes is completely accurate and represents only a fraction of the emotional damage she inflicted throughout their childhood. The hallway seems to pulse with the energy of years of suppressed pain finally finding voice, as Lily continues to confront the person who nearly destroyed her ability to believe in her own worth and potential for success and happiness. Standing in that hallway, surrounded by the tangible evidence of her incredible success and surrounded by people who love and support her authentic self, Lily realizes that she has reached a crossroads that will define not just her relationship with Rachel, but her own continued healing and growth as both an artist and a human being. The broken woman, sobbing against the wall, bears little resemblance to the confident, cruel teenager who once wielded words like weapons against her sister's dreams and aspirations, and Lily must decide whether Rachel's obvious suffering and desperate remorse deserve consideration or whether some wounds are too deep for forgiveness to bridge. "I need time to process this, Rachel," Lily finally says with the wisdom that comes from years of therapy and personal growth, understanding that forgiveness is not something that can be rushed or forced, but must develop naturally through careful consideration and emotional healing. "You can't just show up after years of silence and expect everything to be okay because you finally realized what I was capable of achieving despite your cruelty." The decision to engage with Rachel's apology rather than simply walking away represents a significant moment in Lily's ongoing journey toward complete healing and the possibility of transforming even their most damaged relationship into something that serves her continued growth and peace. 3 days after the shocking confrontation with Rachel at the studio, Lily sits in Maya's familiar therapy office, struggling to process the emotional earthquake that her sister's unexpected appearance has created in her carefully constructed life. "I thought I was completely healed from what she did to me," Lily admits with tears flowing freely, her voice carrying confusion and vulnerability. Maya listens with patient understanding as Lily works through the complex emotions. Seeing her again brought back every cruel word, every destroyed dream, every moment she made me feel worthless for believing in my musical abilities. The therapy session becomes crucial as Lily learns to separate past trauma from present strength. That evening, David and Lily sit together in their beautiful Nashville home, surrounded by awards that represent triumph over systematic abuse. "I can't stop thinking about how broken she looked," Lily confides to David, her voice reflecting internal conflict between understanding Rachel's cruelty and emerging compassion for her obviously suffering sister. David listens carefully, supporting whatever decision Lily makes while maintaining protective concern. "Part of me wants to never see her again, but another part wonders if forgiveness might be the final step in my own healing journey." Their conversation reveals Lily's growth from a frightened girl into a confident woman capable of making difficult decisions based on her own values. Over the following weeks, Lily channels her complex emotions about Rachel's return into a new song exploring the challenging territory between justice and mercy, between self-protection and healing damaged relationships. The lyrics flow with authentic emotional honesty, more personal than anything she's written before. "How do you forgive the voice that told you you were nothing? How do you trust the hand that tore your dreams apart?" She sings with raw vulnerability. The creative process becomes therapy itself, helping Lily explore forgiveness without pressure to make immediate decisions about Rachel, allowing her art to guide her toward authentic resolution and continued emotional growth. After 2 weeks of internal struggle and therapy sessions with Maya, Lily agrees to meet Rachel at the same coffee shop where she first found her voice years earlier. Rachel arrives early, looking nervous and humble, her demeanor starkly contrasting with the arrogant confidence from their childhood. "Thank you for agreeing to see me," Rachel says with genuine gratitude, her voice carrying none of the condescension that once characterized their interactions. The coffee shop feels symbolically appropriate for potential reconciliation, representing where Lily learned to trust her artistic voice and where she might decide whether to extend that trust to rebuilding their damaged relationship. As their conversation unfolds, Rachel shares details of her own struggles and failures, revealing vulnerability Lily has never witnessed from her previously arrogant sister. "I spent years thinking I was better than you, more successful, more worthy of attention," Rachel admits with tears, her words carrying genuine remorse. "But when my marriage fell apart and I lost everything, your songs were the only thing that kept me from giving up completely." The irony of Rachel finding healing through music she once ridiculed creates shared understanding. Lily listens with compassion, beginning to see Rachel as a broken human being who used cruelty as a weapon against her own insecurities. Lily begins sharing selected details about her journey from broken teenager to successful songwriter. I had to learn that your words about me being worthless said more about your own insecurities than my actual worth. Lily explains with hard-earned wisdom. But it took years to understand that, and even longer to build confidence in my gift despite voices in my head that sounded exactly like yours. Rachel listens with growing amazement and shame, understanding the full scope of what Lily accomplished despite the systematic emotional abuse. The conversation reveals how their childhood dynamic was shaped by Rachel's deep insecurities about her lack of authentic talent, leading her to attack qualities she secretly envied. In a fundamental relationship shift, Rachel takes complete responsibility for her cruelty without excuses or asking for immediate forgiveness, demonstrating accountability that surprises Lily with its authenticity. I was the failure in our family, not you, Rachel says with devastating honesty. I contributed nothing meaningful while actively trying to destroy your gifts. I was jealous of your talent, your authenticity, your ability to create beauty from pain, and instead of celebrating those qualities, I tried to convince you they were worthless because I knew I could never possess them myself. This genuine accountability creates the first crack in Lily's protective wall, allowing her to consider that forgiveness might serve her own healing. Several weeks later, Lily makes a monumental decision. She agrees to perform publicly for the first time, sharing her authentic voice with a live audience rather than remaining anonymous. David and Maya support her as she prepares for this breakthrough moment. I'm not doing this to prove anything to Rachel or my family, Lily explains with clarity. I'm doing this because I'm finally ready to own my voice completely, to step out of the shadows and claim credit for the healing I've created through my music. The decision represents final integration of private healing with public artistic identity, transforming her from someone who hides into someone who can accept appreciation as a natural consequence of sharing authentic gifts. On the night of Lily's first public performance, Rachel sits in the audience watching her sister command the stage with impossible confidence for someone once too frightened to speak in her own home. Lily performs a song about their relationship, the cruelty, healing, and possibility of forgiveness when people genuinely change. This song is about learning that forgiveness isn't about forgetting the past or pretending harmful actions didn't have consequences, Lily tells the audience. It's about choosing healing over hatred, growth over resentment, and the possibility that even our most damaged relationships can be transformed when people do the hard work of genuine change. Rachel watches through tears, witnessing not just a performance, but a public declaration of triumph over trauma she helped create. After the performance, Rachel approaches Lily backstage with tears of pride, finally able to express admiration that should have characterized their relationship from the beginning. I am so proud of who you've become, Rachel says with genuine emotion, offering validation Lily needed in childhood, but is now strong enough to receive without desperate need. Their embrace represents completion of both sisters' healing journeys. Lily's transformation from victim to victor, and Rachel's evolution from perpetrator to someone capable of accountability and change. Their reconciliation doesn't erase years of pain, but transforms those experiences into foundation for a new relationship built on mutual respect and authentic communication. Where are you watching this incredible story from? Share your thoughts about forgiveness and family healing in the comments, and subscribe for more inspiring stories.